What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I haven't been able to do a whole lot because the weather's been really crappy here in Georgia. Just this weekend, as a matter of fact, the Friday and Saturday it rained all day. And then it rained so bad Saturday night that at 3 o'clock in the morning I lost power, or at 5:30 in the morning I lost power. I didn't get power back until 3:30 this morning. And I had to go to work today, so I wasn't able to do anything Sunday, which was the only good day out of the entire freaking weekend. And it was still super cold, and it's actually pretty cold out here right now. It's only, I mean, people up north will think I'm crazy for saying this is cold, but it's only 52 degrees according to my car right now. But I'm working on trying to put the Beetle together and get it running and driving, so that I can try and sell it for something, because right now nobody's going to buy an unfinished project. I know that. I've been trying to sell it, nobody wants it. So I'm going to get it all the way together, get it running and driving, and then just sell it, unless I can come up with some financial Hail Mary to where I don't need to sell it, and then I'll just keep working on it. But as it goes right now, I'm just going to finish putting it together so that I can put it up for sale. So I went ahead and moved the Beetle over in my driveway next to the Audi, because my son's over at his mom's house this entire week, so his car won't be here. So what I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to go ahead and bolt the fenders onto the body. I'm going to bolt the body to the pan, and then I'm going to start looking at carpet and interior to put in it. I'll have to get a windshield for it, and I'll start putting the transmission back in it, and then I got to find me an engine for it. But once I get all that stuff and I get it running, then I might put it up for sale. I might wait and buy the air management and get the air ride completely working so that I can get a little bit more money. But I think that the cost of the air management and all that is not going to raise the value of the car that much. But it may make it hard to sell without the air ride working. So I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. All right, guys, I managed to get all the fenders bolted on. Front bumper brackets are bolted on. I don't have front bumpers for it. I don't have rear bumpers for it. I don't have rear bumper brackets, but it is what it is. Got it all bolted together. I got to bolt in the steering wheel, or the steering column, and then hook up the shaft to it, and then I can steer it. And then go get a windshield, get that put in. I can go get some seats and put some seats in here. And then I'm going to just find me a cheap 1600 to throw in the back of this thing so that I can get it running. And I'll throw headlights and fog lights and turn signals and all that shit in here. But I'll get it to where it's a running, driving car. So wish me luck. All right, everybody. So I managed to do a little bit of sleuthing. And I think I found the perfect solution for doing the air management on the Beetle. I scoured the internet and pieced together the exact same kit that I would have been able to get from who I was purchasing all the rest of the parts for the air ride. Their kit is a little over $1,000 on sale. Normal price is $1,300. And I purchased everything to build the kit. Same air tank, a little bit different pump. I went with a heavier duty pump, so it actually pulls more amperage, and it's a higher pressure pump. And got all the lines and gauges with, I actually got better gauges than what I would have gotten. Their kit included mechanical gauges, and I have two digital gauges with pressure readings for all four corners, and then pressure readings for the tank. I think it's going to be a pretty good setup, and it only cost me $310. So I'm hoping this works out, and if it does, then I'll list all the parts in the description, and that way it can save a lot of people a lot of money. I bought everything for it on Amazon. And this is a totally manual kit. It's not going to have where you can raise the front together, the back together, or do side to side, any of that. It's 4 independent switches, 1 for each airbag. I could add auxiliary switches, which I may do later, but currently it's just going to be front back. It's going to be the 4 corners. So I can still do everything that a front back side to side setup would do. I just don't have I won't have the switches that will do both fronts at the same time, both rears at the same time, both driver side at the same time, or both passenger at the same time, or raise all 4 of them at the same time. I can add that if I want to, but I haven't decided to do that yet. Currently, I'm just going to run 4 independent switches, 1 for each airbag. So hopefully this works out. So I'm going to show how I'm going to run the wire, or run the air lines, show how I'm going to mount the pump. I'm probably going to pull the body back off the chassis to do this. I'll have the body off the chassis for a couple hours while I run the lines and mount the compressor. And then I'll put the body back on it and make sure that the seat's not going to interfere with where I'm putting the tank, and then mount the tank. I don't want to mount the tank unless I got the body on the car, because I want to make sure it's going to clear the back seat, because I'm going to put it under the back seat. So I'm gonna mount the compressor up on the Napoleon hat on the opposite side of where the brake master cylinder is. I'll mount it on the right hand side of the car on the Napoleon hat, and then I'll mount the tank on the left hand rear side of the floor pan underneath the back seat on the opposite side of the battery. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, I'm gonna try and get all this done. I also am gonna try and rebuild my pedal assembly, because it's kind of rusty and just looks crusty, and it could use a freshening up. So I'm gonna disassemble that, clean it up, sandblast it, paint it, put it back together, and get it back in the car. So hopefully this will be a pretty cool video. All right, everybody, so I've been unboxing all my stuff from Amazon. I got my new pump, got the one of the switch panels built already. This is one of the air gauges that I got. Here's the 3 sensors for the air gauges and the wiring for the sensors to hook up to the back of the gauge. But I wanted to show how the brackets came in. So they come in blank. You got to pop the switches in and put the gauge in. But the 2 switches and the bracket came together, and then I bought the sensors as a unit. And then I've got airline right here and the pump right here, and then my tank is supposed to be delivered tomorrow. All right, so here's what was included with the gauges that I got. And it's a basic setup. You just got power and ground, and then you got a wire for the light, and then the sensors hook up directly to the back of the cluster or the gauge. So I've got the 3 pressure sensors, and then got that hooked up to the back of the gauge. Here's my power wires and my illumination wire, and it'll be the same for this one. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a T in each one of the lines that goes to each one of the airbags, and I'll put the pressure sensor in that line, and then I'll put the main pressure sensor for both gauges. I was gonna try and just tap the wires together so I could only run 1 sensor, but I don't want to screw with the wiring on here. So I'll just put I'll put a additional T in there so that I can have both sensors in there. And then if one of the sensors fails, I've got the other one showing what the main tank pressure is. Or I could put one in the tank and put one up close by the compressor so that I can see if there's a leak in between. I don't know. The possibilities are pretty wide open on what I can do for that. So, but that's my plan. I'm going to run a T for each one of the air shocks on the vehicle, and put the sensor in that, and then put the main pressure sensor. I'll put both of them in there somewhere. And I'm going to mount this compressor up on the Napoleon hat on the front right-hand side of the car when you're sitting in the seat. And then this is all my airline stuff. Now, I did not get metal fittings like the other place would have provided. I can get metal fittings, but I'm not super worried about it. I deal with these kind of airlines all day long for work. And I bought this whole kit with the line and all these fittings and the cutter for 16 bucks. So, I mean, if I need to spend the extra money and buy metal fittings for my T's and stuff, I can, but I don't think it's necessary. Okay, so my picture may not be as pretty as the picture on their website when you go to order from them. The only thing that's different in this versus what's on their website is the gauges, and I don't have the tank here yet, but I got the exact same tank that's on their website. So everything else is the same, like I said, except for the fittings. And then the gauges are better than what they offer, and I got the exact same tank. So yeah, compare this and see what you think. All right, so I'm getting ready to raise the car off of the chassis so that I can mount the pump and all the lines. This is where I'm gonna mount the pump at, right here on the Napoleon hat. And it's gonna be on this side because the brake booster or the brake master cylinder goes right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount the pump here and run my lines and everything. All right, guys, I just received my air tank. So, and it is a Firestone. So I'm gonna open it up and set it in place. All right, everybody. So I believe that I've decided to go a different route with mounting the gauges and the switches because I don't like how they would be on the dashboard, and I wanna keep everything to where it's all on the chassis so that if you pull the body off, all the airbags are still working on the chassis and you don't have to disconnect anything when you pull the body. So I went and bought this indoor enclosure box from Home Depot for 20 bucks. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these holes like this and have these switches in here in the front as long as it'll fit. I may have to go get a bigger box, but that's my ultimate plan, is to try and put all the switches and the gauges in the face of this. And then I'll be able to have my air supply and discharge going to each shock. So I'll have it set up to where this is front right, front left, rear right, rear left, and then supply. That way I can just have quick disconnects for all 5 of my airlines that go into here. And then I can put electrical connectors coming out of here, out of one of these small holes, or I can even put it out of the back to where I'll have a quick disconnect for the power, the all-time power, switched power, and ground, so that all these gauges and everything will turn on when the car turns on. So I'm gonna see how this is all gonna lay out, and we'll see what happens. All right, guys, so I made my switch box. Screw just fell out, but anyway, made my switch box. There went my other screw, shit. Anyway, so that's what I'm gonna do. This will be front left, front right, rear left, rear right, gauges for the front, gauge for the back. I'll have all my sensors and everything mounted inside of the box. I'll have 4 T's inside of here so that I can have my 5 sensors that I need to have hooked up. Or no, I'll have 6 T's in here. I need to hook up 6 sensors. And then I'll have the air fittings coming out of these holes in the back, and it'll be these little fittings, so that all I'll have to do is just hook up my air lines right into the back of here. So that will be sitting right there, and then I'll have my air connections there, and then my main supply will be in that center one. So hopefully this is gonna work out the way that I'm planning. Everything looks to be working the correct way. So once I get this box done, then I'll go back out to the car and start mounting all the stuff on the car. All right, everybody, so this is how I've laid out my panel so far. I have my 4 air connections for each individual shock on the back. Everything's been taped and everything, but I'm gonna take it back apart because I'm gonna do some more work to this box, but I just want to test it before I go too crazy with it. So I've got my 4 pressure sensors, 1 for each of the independent struts or shocks, whatever you want to call them, and then my elbows for the airlines. And then I've got all of this laid out on the back of here. So what I think I'm gonna do is I actually think I'm gonna shorten the wires, because I mean, I only need like friggin' 6 inches of wire, and there's like friggin' 20 feet of wire in there. So I'm probably gonna shorten those. I still need to be able to mount this pressure switch in here, the relay for that, and then my power wires, so that I can have a single connector coming out of here with 3 wires on it. It'll be one's hot all the time, one's switched, and then one's battery, and then everything else will be self-contained in here. So I'll have this air line coming from out of here, coming into one of these bottom holes, and then there'll be 2 T's, and I'll just hook into those T's. So I'll have this pressure switch in one of the T's, and then I'll have the pressure switch for these sensors in the other T. I haven't really decided on exactly how I'm going to do that yet, but that's my game plan. All right, so now that I've got everything on the delivery side hooked up and ready to rock and roll, now I need to figure out my supply side for all my switches and for the sensor for the supply side. But I ordered tees from Amazon because it was cheaper than buying them at Home Depot. And they sent me 1/2 inch instead of 3/8. So I'm gonna have to go to Home Depot and buy the right size. I may order some more off of Amazon just because they're so much cheaper, but that really sucks. That delays me a whole nother day because they sent me both of them the wrong damn size. And I looked at my order and my order was supposed to be 3/8. So I didn't order the wrong thing. They sent me the wrong thing. But it is what it is. So I'm gonna work on figuring all that out. And then I desperately need to shorten these wires. That is a lot of wire. It doesn't need to be there. So I'm gonna make them about as long as these airlines so that I can pull the box out without having to disconnect anything. So when I get all that buttoned up, I'll pick back up. All right, guys, so I've been out here working on putting my holes in the floor for the airlines. I got my whole box built, got all the wiring and everything in there. Just trying to figure out how I'm gonna run everything. So I've got it laid out where my supply line's gonna come through here, and then these are gonna be the 4 corners. That way I can keep them organized as to which one goes where. This line is gonna go through here and come up out of here, and then I'm gonna have a T and the pressure switch, and I'll have the airline running up to the running to the back of the box, and then the pressure switch will be hooked up to ground and to the relay, and I'm going to mount the relay. I don't know. I may have to rework how I'm going to do the pressure switch, but anyway. Actually, I can run the pressure switch back in the tank because I still got to run a line from up here to the tank. So, yeah. All right. I still got a little bit of figuring out to do, but I've got my lines started through the chassis back there. I got both of those in. I got my fittings on the front end. I'm still need to drill the holes for the airlines to run through there and run up into here. But got the box made. All that's wired up and ready to go. So I just got to get all this run and plumbed and then hook up the power for the pump, and then I should be able to test the air ride. All right, guys, so I wanted to show you the little trick that I'm doing to get my airlines fed into the front of the vehicle. So what I'm doing is I'm using this flattened out coat hanger, running it up through here, leaving it hooked on that lip, and then finding it back here, which there it is right there. So get that, and then what I'm doing is I'm sticking the tube onto the coat hanger, and I'm shoving about that much of it onto the coat hanger. Once it's shoved onto the coat hanger, then it has enough friction on it to where it'll stick with the coat hanger and I can pull it through. And it sounds like my dogs are going after somebody, so I may have to stop recording here in just a second. I mean, there shouldn't be anybody out here on my property. But anyway, so then just feed the hose through. And voila. And then I'll reach down in here and tie these to each other and get them organized so they're not in the way of the shifter and all that. So I'll get a zip tie on those and tie them to either the fuel line or the clutch tube, whatever one that is. It's one of them. Probably tie it to the clutch cable tube because it's the biggest one. But get that all secured. And then now I'll do the same thing from the holes up there. I'll use the coat hanger, which here it is. So I'll use the coat hanger and get it up here to the center. And then hopefully I will be able to pull the hoses right through. Now I gotta make sure that I bend this thing so that I can loop it to get it in there. So let me make sure this is getting caught by the camera. Okay, so now I'm gonna work on moving it to the front. And I bent the coat hanger so that when I go in there, it'll loop and go up. So now I'm gonna go and grab this one. Well, hopefully I'll get in there. Yeah, there it is. All right. A little bit of a chore trying to get it. There we go. All right, so now I got that in there. And now I just need to check and see which one is this one. So this hose is the one that needs to go into that side. So now I'm just gonna hook it on here like I did the last time. And I'm gonna push it in a little bit further because I want it to grab on the ridges from the coat hanger so that it doesn't pop off, because this is where I'm worried that I might hit something trying to get it up in here. And there we go, it's coming right out. So then we just push the air line down in there so we don't kink it. And bam, now we've got that air line run from the back air strut or air shock all the way up here. So now we'll do the other side. I don't think I have it bent enough. There we go. I don't want that to fall back in there. Yep, I'm on the other side of that fucking tube. All right, so we're gonna pull that one tight. Well, after I get that out, now we're gonna pull it tight. There we go. All right, so then now that I don't have them tangled, stick that on there, then pull it through. And then tuck that down in so we don't kink it. And then pull the rest of it out. All right, both of the rear air lines are run and the main one from the compressor is run. Now I still gotta run a line for the tank and I still got to run both of the front lines. I've got enough airline to run the front line. I'm gonna need to buy a little bit more airline so that I can have enough to run the tank and the other line. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop filming right now, and I'm gonna get on Amazon and order another roll of 1/4-inch tubing. Okay guys, so this little box took me a lot longer to build than I anticipated, but I've got all my switches in here. All 6 of the pressure sensors are in here. I've got 5 ports on here. This is front right, front left, rear right, rear left, supply. And then this is my power and ground and illumination wires for the gauges. And then I'll have another connector, and this is a waterproof connector. I've got the other side of it sitting over there on the table. The only other part that I have to run is I have to run my supply line from the compressor to the tank, and then run it to where I can run a supply line to that fitting, and then I can test the system. Now, when I go to run the supply line for the tank, I'm actually gonna run a ground wire with it, because my intention is to put this pressure switch on the back end of here. And this is gonna be my compressor cut on and off. I'll run one wire down here to ground where one of the mounting bolts is, and the other wire will run up to my relay up at the pump up front. I've got a waterproof relay that I'm gonna mount on the side of the Napoleon hat. I'm gonna do all my wiring right there. And then the only other 2 wires that I'll have to run, I'll have to run a battery and a hot all the time and a switched power wire from the relay up to the either the front trunk or up to the dashboard. But I'll just have to draw power from wherever I can draw it from. But I'm gonna leave it loose for now so that I can just hook a jumper cable up to it and run the 12 volt so I can test the system. All right guys, I've got everything temporarily installed. There is a little bit of a mess on the chassis just because I got all of my crap out here. I'm not gonna worry about hooking up the pressure switch or anything right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run 12 volts to the sensors for the pressure, and then I'm just gonna hook up my air compressor at the house and pump air into the system instead of running the compressor. I'll run the compressor later. I just wanna check to make sure all the air shocks are working correctly and see if it's gonna be able to hit 3-wheel like I'm hoping. All right guys, so I've got everything installed on here. I just have my wiring hooked up temporarily. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna back my car up and leave it running, and I'm gonna hook the jumper cables up to that wire and then to the chassis, because I've got everything grounded the way it's supposed to. And I've got a jumper wire running from there up to my control box so that I can have the gauges turn on. So I'm gonna get everything turned on and see if this thing works. All right, so the pump is running. I don't know if you can see the pressure going up on the gauge, but we're getting pressure going up. So I'm actually gonna stop this and I'm gonna start my Audi so I don't kill the battery on my Audi, and then I'll continue running it. So we're getting pretty close. I know it's showing kind of messed up in the video, but that's because the frame rate's the same as the LED. But we're at 196 PSI right now. It should shut off at 200. And when the pump shuts off, I'm gonna turn my car off, because my car is rather loud. But it should shut off at 200 PSI. We're at 198 right now. There we go. Works like a damn charm. All right, so now, Terry, would you mind reaching in there and turning my key off? All right, so it's holding pressure okay. I mean, I wouldn't think that it should lose any PSI pretty quick. That's the main thing I wanted to test, is make sure it's gonna hold pressure the way it's supposed to. And it looks like it's holding pretty good. If I had a leak, it would have already dropped a significant amount. So we're gonna go ahead and raise the back left. All right, there's back left. And I've got my sensor hooked up wrong. because I've got back left going to the top. That should be the bottom left. Okay. Okay. And that's bottom right. So I've got those backwards. All right, front's airing up. Hell yeah! Works like a damn champ. So everything's good. The chassis up off the ground. I got to rearrange some of my switches because I got one of them backwards. And then I've got the sensors hooked up to the wrong spots. Actually, no, I've got the panel upside down is what the problem is. That's what it is. I've got the panel upside down. Or, yeah, that's exactly what it is. I've got the panel upside down on the face of the control. So it's throwing all of my wire or my air hoses off on the back. That's what the problem is. All right. Alright, I got one of them hooked up wrong. Alright. I gotta look at what's hooked up because I got something hooked up wrong. But it's working. I just gotta work out some bugs. Alright, so I finally got all the switches working correctly. I got all the pressure sensors reading the way that I want them to. So that's left front, tank, left rear, right rear, tank. And I've got a slow leak coming from the right front, so I'm going to diagnose where that leak is. But other than that, the whole system's working really good. I'm really pleased with how it's working. So next thing is we're going to put the body back on it, and then I'll move it with the body on it. All right, guys, try not to pay attention to the straps that are on here because I still got to pick the body up and do a little bit of work on the underneath. But I'm only going to use the air that's in the tank existing already. I'm not going to hook the power back up to it and have the gauges and all that working. I'm just going to move it with the body on it. So did it hit three wheel?
I'm not sure. Both of these stayed on.
Oh, they both stayed on the ground. Damn. All right, everybody. So that's going to wrap up my design and installation of the air management system for the Volkswagen. Really hope this helps other people if they're trying to figure out how to do an air management for cheaper than what you're available to find online as a kit. This is totally manual, but as you see, it works very well. Please, like always, give me a like, follow, comment, share, subscribe. I'm hoping to be able to start working on the Veloster again this coming week and into the weekend next weekend. My focus has been on the Volkswagen just because I'm trying to get it to where I can sell it. I may also work on the Impala because I've got all the parts to put the motor back together on the Impala. So I don't know if I'm going to do the Veloster or not, but I will be working on it. I just don't know if I'll get enough content to make an entire video. So thanks for tuning in. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Have a great one.